Dobro jutro and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the European Big Data Value Forum here in Ljubljana, Slovenia. We're coming live to you and we will try to make you feel as close as possible, even though you are all around the European Union and beyond. And we're coming live to you from Ljubljana and Slovenia. And just by saying that, I've already sent you lots of love. Because we are in this city with a strange name, Ljubljana, but the name comes from ljubezen, love, the beloved city. And you are in the country with the only love in the name. Have you noticed that? Slovenia, you take the S away and it's Slovenia. And love is here for so many reasons. First of all, we just love to have you around. We love to welcome you, even though you are online mostly today. And of course, we love our country, the diversity over here. And it is a very special year for Slovenia, celebrating 30 years of independence. And of course, for the second time, we are holding the presidency of the Council of the European Union, which is very, very special to us as well. My name is Monica Mauritz. I will be your guide today on the second day of our forum, the central day, as they say. And we will be talking about several issues, because to boost the digital and sustainable transformation of the European Union is a common thread to the Slovenian priorities during Slovenian presidency. And it is not just by chance that the 5th edition of this event has a central topic, digital transformation, powered by data and artificial intelligence. The European Big Data Value Forum is organized by the Big Data Value Association and the European Commission in collaboration with the DIH Slovenia, the ICT Association of Slovenia, the Jožef Stefan Institute and the University of Ljubljana. And now it's time to welcome a very special gentleman you know very well. He's very fit, very happy, smiling already. That's a good sign. With me is Mr. Thomas Hahn, the president of the Big Data Value Association. Thomas, einen wunderschönen guten Morgen.
Dankeschön. And you know, I have really problems now to top your intro, your welcome words, but I will do my best. So a warm welcome to you, Minister. I see Sophie, I see Mia Petra, I see Noel in the room. A warm welcome to all the speakers, to all the participants, as you said, around, at least Europe. And it's really a pleasure to open this event today on behalf of the BDVA. You know, we have today different speakers from government, local, commission, Slovenia, from academia, around, from Ireland, for example, Noel, from other countries, industry, where I'm standing for, which makes speeches, which participate in the event. And, you know, we will have a lively discussion. How is the structure today? Today we are starting with some kind of keynote speeches, first coming from you. Then we have here 3 panels, after a short break, 3 panels. One is about data and data spaces, regarding the theme of the event, digital transformation powered by AI and data, really focusing it what is needed for digital transformation. Then we go over to data and data spaces. We have launched briefly ago some kind of cooperation because we want to bring it to the street, let's say, our technologies to the street for all of us, for the society, for industry. And last but not least, AI was in the theme of the event, industrial and trustworthy AI, what we can do with this. These are the 3 panels we have today. But now we are starting with, first of all, with some kind of keynote speeches about impressions. And you will see us later, at least in the first panel, where I'm again back on stage. Many thanks.
Thank you, Thomas. You're such a wonderful icebreaker, isn't he? And now, please welcome Ana Garcia. We are very international today. Hola, Ana. Buenos dias. It's a pleasure to see you. And Ana is the Secretary General of the Big Data Value Association.
Thank you, Moitza, and warm welcome from my side as well to all the speakers. Thank you, Minister. Thank you to all the speakers that we'll have today, and warm welcome to all the participants. To the European Big Data Value Forum is an event made by the community for the community. So through 64 sessions and talks, you can engage, you can learn, you can engage in conversations about different topics such as new challenges ahead, data, AI and the new society, technology, platforms and impact, data spaces, industrial and trustworthy AI, also deployment and market update. We will also have sessions about different sectors, covering different sectors like manufacturing, also healthcare, smart cities and communities, automotive, and many other sectors. So what is happening this week really reflects many of the topics that the community is taking forward.
Gracias. Thank you so much, Anna. We will see Anna later as well. And Thomas, so you will see it's a long, long day with lots of people and different topics we're going to tackle. But as Thomas has already mentioned, today really brings together industry professionals, business developers, researchers, policymakers from all over Europe and other regions of the world to advance in the implementation of some policy objectives in the areas of data and AI, supporting the digital transformation of our industries and society. So it's a very, very vibrant community and a long list of special guests over here in Ljubljana as well. So Slovenia is hosting this semester the presidency of the Council of the European Union. And now I would really like to introduce our minister, the Minister for Public Administration in Slovenia. And before that, because it's a minister, like to have a bit of a suspense, we have a special video and then we say hello to Mr. Boštjan Koritnik.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear big data enthusiasts, participants of the European Big Data Value Forum. It is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you to the second day of this unique event to discuss the important topic of digital transformation powered by data and artificial intelligence. In Slovenia, we firmly believe that the European Union should accelerate building the next generation technologies such as artificial intelligence and data. AI and data are very important for the digital transformation and autonomy of the Union. These areas are also the priorities of our EU presidency. I am very happy to say that at the Council we have already achieved great progress on the Data Governance Act, which is complementing GDPR and is a key building block of the European data strategy. It will facilitate the reuse of publicly and privately held data and contribute to the creation of the common European data spaces. While creating these data spaces where data can flow across borders and sectors, we should always keep in mind that the European rules and values are fully respected and that technology is trustworthy. The flow of data within the EU and across sectors should be in line with clear and fair rules for their access, storage and reuse. Also, it is extremely important to increase trust of citizens and companies regarding their data. The current COVID-19 pandemic has revealed and taught us how important the use of different digital technologies is and has shown to what extent it is possible to make better decisions with the use of data. The vast amount of data and the use of advanced technologies such as AI, blockchain, and high-performance computing offer unsuspecting opportunities and also challenges. Data should be used as a key resource for startups and small and medium-sized enterprises and for the development of their products and services. I firmly believe that if data is not in conflict with the interests of an individual or a business entity, it is a public good. In the Slovenian public administration, we introduced advanced data technologies, a system of business intelligence in public administration, Skrinja, which is set for the purpose of decision-making and negotiations of the government with the trade unions. The system enables efficient interactive access and visualization of public sector data for the wage system. Also, we have decided to start the project of establishing the digital twin of Slovenia, which will present a digital picture of real events in Slovenia. The basic purpose is to enable the government, with the help of advanced technologies, especially during a pandemic, to monitor and explain current events, detect anomalies, predict trends, and report with visualizations for real-time decision-making quickly and comprehensively. Since April this year, we have got the Supercomputer Vega, the biggest supercomputer in Slovenia and one of the most powerful supercomputers in the world. Vega enables European scientists to cooperate in large international projects, as well as enhance work in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and high-performance data analytics. Last but not least, we are extremely proud of the first International Research Center on Artificial Intelligence under the auspices of UNESCO, established in Ljubljana this March. Dear participants, it is important for our citizens, municipalities, countries, companies, and other organizations to come together and collaborate in events like this. It is also encouraging to see new digital solutions as the driving force of the progress of our society. I'm deeply convinced that the right use and presentation of data can bring digital solutions and benefits to the whole society. I wish you a lot of new ideas and an interesting discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. We are very, very happy that we have other special guests with us today, live as well. And let's now move to the industry perspective. So we have two distinguished speakers from this industry. And I would like to welcome Mr. Cedric Nijke. He's the member of the Managing Board and CEO of the Digital Industries from Siemens. Mr. Nijke, good morning and over to you.
It's a pleasure and honor to speak with you at this great event today. It's a virtual appearance, of course, but that's pretty much the standard practice these days. But at least I'm with you in spirit and interest. Automation, digitalization, and big data experienced a rather unexpected boost over the past 2 years. We've clearly seen that the companies that have already digitalized and automated many processes have weathered the COVID crisis much, much better. They were able to quickly and flexibly adapt their production to changing demand. Digitalization and automation, combined with cutting-edge technologies, helps us to use data even more intensively and sustainably. Because one thing's for sure, our resources, they're finite. But the good news is data is infinite. Our job is to use it intelligently. Only then can we achieve the flexibility we need to master all new industry challenges that lie ahead of us. This is exactly where artificial intelligence comes into play. With its capability to collect and analyze vast amounts of data and to equip machines and people with digital capabilities. AI can now act as an unprecedented amplifier of intelligence and productivity. AI actually has huge economic potential, possibly contributing up to $5 trillion to global value add by 2025. And this figure was estimated before the pandemic. In principle, the technology of artificial intelligence isn't that very new at all. Siemens, for example, has been doing research in this field for over 30 years. If you take a look at our patent position, for example, we ranked number 11 worldwide and number 1 in Europe. On the AI side, we're number 1 in engineering application and number 1 in healthcare. And even way back in the 90s, we were already installing neural networks in steel mills. Since then, technology progress has expanded this potential to astonishing dimension. As you know, computing power and speed in data transmission has soared. AI chips with incredible processing speeds boost machine learning, and we at Siemens help to build them with our electronic design automation software. With our high-performance algorithms and the growing digitalization of entire work processes, we are vastly increasing data assets. And all of this data can now be used as input for AI application. If you like, AI is the brain of the digitalization. It's the organ that enables us to learn so we can react much faster and much more flexible to new challenges. But in this industrial arena, AI has to meet much more stricter criteria than in the consumer business. Let me mention one challenge we face in the industrial AI arena at the moment. AI, for example, can differentiate between a dog and a cat. The problem is, if a mouse comes along, the AI will call it a dog or a cat. That's no problem if you just want to label your personal sort of photo archive, but in industrial production it's a real issue. AI must be trustworthy, robust, safe, and reliable, even in unknown situations. AI must know when it's not certain and comply with established safety standards. Obviously, this remarkable new industrial world can't and won't be created overnight. For industries and companies of every size and type, digital transformations are a complex process that requires careful planning and organization. Consulting, for example, is an important help here. for supporting industrial companies on their ways to the digital age. And no one can do that alone. We need to work together to overcome the challenges faced by industrial customers. And for me, working together means the entire industrial ecosystems, automation players, IT companies, startups, customers, as well as industrial associations such as the Big Data Value Association, academics and research, and political institutions such as the EU. We've started data-driven initiatives such as Gaia X and the important project of Common Europe Interest for Edge and Cloud. We need a similar push for industrial AI. Only then will we be able to benefit from the fantastic opportunities offered by artificial intelligence for our businesses, but also for society. Many of the developments in the field of AI seem impressive at first glance, but ultimately, they are kid stuff compared to what lies ahead of us. There's still plenty of untapped potential in AI. Let's leverage this potential together for the benefit of both economies and societies. Because technologies must do both, contribute to the economic success of companies and improve quality of life for people, for all of us actually. So let's tap the potential of AI by increasing flexibility through AI to master all challenges which lies ahead of us, driving innovation and implementation, building trust in AI's benefits, and of course raising the awareness of opportunity through AI. This way, we can shape technological and societal progress anywhere in the world together. With that, I wish all of you a successful conference with lively and productive discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Cedric. And as we heard, yes, lots and lots of potential in AI. And I'm always very happy to see how many ladies are working in this field as well. And now it's time to greet a very special, busy lady. She's the Chief Technology Officer at Atos. Sophie Frust, are you with us? Can you hear me? Coucou. Bonjour.
I can hear you. Do you hear me? Bonjour.
Sophie, comment allez-vous? I presume it's 9:18 in the morning. This is not your first video call.
Thank you, Morza. I'm doing very well. Very happy to be with you. We already heard a lot of very good stuff. You know, thanks for the minister and Cedric Nijker around AI. That's amazing.
It's a nice feeling, isn't it, that even in these strange times we can have guests and we are communicating with help of intelligence. But anyway, we are here and the event is on. Sophie, you work for a big multinational company. On what kind of fields are you working at the moment?
How you know, we are at the heart of the digital transformation. We drive innovation with our customers, and we really want to build a digital trusted space. So that's all what's with us today.
I leave you with your presentation, so over to you.
Thank you so much, Mosra. And so really a very warm good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to be live with you today. And, you know, as I was thinking of traveling to this audience, you know, I had to take my choices. Do I take the train, the plane, the automobile? But as I have an electric car, I ask myself, will I find all the needed charging stations? Will I have the good mobile apps for them? The right subscription? All those kinds of questions. And also, will I be on time? At what time do I have to leave, given the potential traffic? And then, you know, I kind of reassured myself. I said, okay, look, Sophie, the technology is there. All of those dynamic analysis, which needs to be taken in real time, you can have it through AI, high performance computing, as well as edge computing. All this will be done very well. But of course, it's not so easy. And, you know, we need cooperation. There's multiple sources of information that are involved here, such as static or real-time ones with charging stations, you know, giving their location, their availability. Some sources are moving too, like my own car, which acts like a mobile edge device, crossing several countries with all the other cars. So all these interactions need to be addressed. And also all the providers can share data and the status of their services to offer me an integrated, safe and seamless immersive experience. So, planning my trip, as I wanted to be green, of course, I needed also user-friendly and very simple, good and personalized advices. I said, okay, I know that traffic information can be handled, but what about the charging stations? All are still very heterogeneous today, with different energy providers giving various terms and conditions. I will travel across many countries, France, Germany, Austria, and then finally Slovakia. Regulations are very different. So I'm not sure also that my battery address will be used to redistribute power if needed. And, I had remaining questions around the parking lots in different cities. Are they going to be connected and offer me the best location for the charging slots? So you see, we touch here the real need for data spaces. From a classical ownership model, we see the need to shift to a service-based model. Several actors need to collaborate to deliver those services. And we are really moving from a linear economy dealing with shortages. We need a more dynamic production and supply chain. The climate crisis also drives us toward a circular and greener economy. We need smart use of energy. We need to remove barriers to green traveling. So I am looking for a more personalized experience, simplified user experience, hiding, the complexity of the various intertwined services of multiple actors. So facing the various regulations, the data sharing, and the trust to establish all this. And that's what at stake. So talking about sharing data, if we look at it from a user and business provider perspective, many questions arise. With services delivered from data spaces with business platforms, what is the risk for me? Where is my personal data going? To which provider? With which consent? Is my data being used according to the context rules I have set as a data provider? What is the protection against data loss? Who is keeping my encryption keys? In my data exchange, with trust? Do I have identified parties? So, we could go on and on like this with those questions, and also on the technology used, by the way, around security, the software, the hardware, the data centers. So all those concerns will, of course, vary depending on the level of criticality of each business. So you see, we really need flexible solutions with different level of trust to answer to specific situation. And this is where and why and how, we are working all together with the various actors and associations to achieve this vision of higher business returns out and the secured and sovereign data exchange. So first and foremost, Gaia-X, and Cedric Neike talked about it, is really the foundation to create an open, transparent, and secure digital ecosystem created out of federation of services, where the data and services can be made available. It is built on the cornerstone of the European Union digital strategy, GDPR, and yet to come regulations. Data exchange can be enhanced thanks to the data connector concept, enabling integration of many different data sources. And we've seen it in my example. So starting with FireWare and its data connector, already at work in many smart cities and connected territories use cases. And then it can reach the yet another level of trust and control thanks to IDSA reference architecture, supporting data connectors with a dynamic matching of provider and consumer and enforcement of data usage context. A provider knows upfront how its data is going to be used. And finally, BDVA, Thomas talked about it. We can leverage big data and artificial intelligence technologies to get to the insight hidden in the data and support the digital transformation of business and customers. So you see, we have a growing adoption within the solutions Atos provides to its partners. Our Human Data Platform, which already implements IDSA and FireWare components, We are working in projects in mobility, finance, manufacturing, tourism, Green Deal, together with industry partners to extend the solutions built on those components towards open, transparent, and secure ecosystem. This is all we are looking for. So let me now maybe deep dive on more details to understand how we address those challenges at Atos through the technology and also embedded services, together with our partners and the following emerging standards we've talked about. So one of the very important transformation is the emergence of multi-sided business platforms in each industries and cross industries. We have seen the goal to bring solutions which involve multiple industries to cooperate. With my multimodal transport example, intelligent energy management like smart green or EV charging services, smart services with the parking lots management and mobility work hand in hand to offer a seamless user experience. Multiple use case arises to support intelligent supply chain. Cedric talked about it, circular economy, but also financial ESG reporting, and you name it. And also, let's not forget decarbonization, because with Scope 3 reporting, it is also a perfect driver to an end-to-end need spanning business and industry boundaries. So, with in Atos, we are bringing sorry, let me click. I forgot to click to bring the animation. Yes. So we are bringing the Atos Digital Hub program, and we are working to bring technology enablers that will actually accelerate those business platform journey. In each business, we see common needs to tune business logic, adapt to the environment, and answer to the various sovereign requirements. So this is why in this slide, in this animation, I have put forward 3 buckets, which maps very well to our previous slide on DSBA. The first need is to get the data. This is done through the Data Hub with its API, enabling the integrations of all kinds of data sources, coming from cars, energy providers, and distribution. So you see, we need to define the data strategy. And first, being conscious of the spectrum of data sources and that the ways to use this data is really large. We've talked of some data sources, air pollution sensors, leveraging IoT communication protocols, but also car geolocalizations reported via 5G sensors, computer vision images of supply chain quality check, or public safety in streets, running on edge computing devices. We have so many examples. Let me take also one from financial, regulatory-driven financial assets in ESG reporting. Then we see how data is going to be ingested. Now we have it, we need to ingest it, to make something out of it. So there is again multiple ways to access the data, from large data sets requiring classical data or file ingestion techniques with data volume ingestion. For example, if I take the Mundi platform we have within Atos, we are offering a complete access to real-time Geo-Copernicus satellite data that integrate accurate and real-time information from satellites. It can be also smaller data sets, even processed in real time in pipelines, or completely, federated data schemes where data stays where it is, but is exposed through the means of API and services. Fireware and IDSA are typical examples of data-connected standardizing these APIs. So now that we have gathered the data, we need to compute it and work on the business logic and workflows. And this is through data insight, with high-performance computing and upcoming quantum computing, AI/ML on edge and cloud. For instance, let me give you another example. We take and measure effective climate actions. We have designed the Terra2 app, which puts target data about our entire planet into the palm of your hands, With Terra 2, any government or public agency can gain new insight to help shape policy making and planning, from the impact of urbanization to the effect of deforestation, air quality and pollution monitoring. So we are providing 5 years of data so you can accurately compare and measure developments and progress over time. Another example, because we've talked about edge-based computer vision, generates a lot of data that can be used by platform to ensure public safety in town, airports, quality in supply chain, or public health, like recognizing the faces not wearing the mask in public areas where COVID is active. Then the last bucket, which is absolutely new finally to the approach, is the layer of trust. With security, data usage context enforcements, data loss prevention with sovereign encryption. So, the trust starts with identity and certifications. An identity provider in the architecture provides an authentication service for all IDSA participants, for example. The certification will be supported the compliance check and authorized entities that participants can trust. So we build trust through all the standards we are working on with IDSA, Gaia-X, and the other organization. So now, to sustain this data and business process analysis, we of course need a solid and hybrid set of solutions. And here I present the Atos One Cloud program, which comes into play. With its cloud to edge continuum, we have seen it into our example. Some treatment needs local computing for latency, but also energy efficient reasons. Others need to be done at the global level in the cloud for consolidation. Some applications need high performance computing. And Europe is really supporting the effort with Euro HPC program, and BDVA is much involved there, also linking the usages with the infrastructure. Because, numerical simulation is essential for the productivity of all our industries. And now we have AI enhancing these simulation models, making them more energy efficient and enabling more real-time treatments with massive data flow. I refer, for example, of all the work we are doing for weather forecast simulations, but also autonomous driving and other sectors like health or finance area. So looking forward, we are also working on quantum computing because this technology, even if it's a little bit far away, will bring more computing capacities in a hybrid HPC environment. We are going to be able to raise the complexity of the problem solved, for example, such as optimization problems with the traveling salesman algorithm or the research of new molecules. And talking about trust, with its Atos One Cloud Sovereign Shield, we are providing a set of solution, methodology, operational cloud services for industries to manage their data in the edge to the cloud continuum with high security service that improves the level of controls the clients have over their data they produce and exchange, in line with the highest jurisdictional data governance requirements. So you see, we enable the right decentralized architecture to lower the carbon footprint and increase also the efficiency. The last point I want to talk about, of course, is decarbonization. It's transversal to all the items I have named here and discussed, and really something we know we cannot miss. Because that digital will be able to decarbonize up to 20% of all the businesses. And at COP26 in November, we just launched our My CO2 Compass, which is our carbon data platform. We use it, of course, internally, but we deliver it also to our customers for their own purposes of reaching net zero based on their data insight analysis. The platform enables us to automate the very manual process of collecting the scope 1, 2, and 3 carbon emissions from any data sources and data sets. And we have just detailed, the platform capacities to manage data. And exactly, we are using all those capabilities in MyCO2 Compare. We ingest data, we validate it, we manage it, we analyze it, we visualize all this data in reports and forecasts for carbon emissions. And also what's very interesting, we can set targets in IT digital decarbonization assessments, IT decarbonization level agreements. And also what's interesting and goes within the multi-sided market, because this platform goes beyond IT. We can very well integrate tools enabling enterprise emission trajectory predictions or specific industry reporting. For example, in finance, we can follow finance emissions of mortgages and equity bonds and business loans. So you see, today, I am really convinced, like many of you, that we are at the right moment to make it happen, with the right level of ambition shared by our Data Spaces Business Alliance, supported by Europe. Atos is also taking an active role to support this ambition too. So you can count on us. Oh, by the way, finally, I wanted to share this with you, my personal algorithm running on my quantum learning machine, given all the actual parameters and complex optimization problems to compute the route from France to Slovakia, really advised me to stay at home to deliver my speech online. So thanks to all of you. Enjoy your summit. And Moshe, I hand over back to you.
Merci, Sophie, and thank you for this wonderful trip. And now we're moving on from the industry to the European institutions. We go straight to Brussels, to the European Parliament, and there's a member of the Parliament already waiting for us, the Vice Chair of the IDA Committee as well. And please welcome Mia Petra Kumpula-Natri. Mia Petra, good morning. And I hope you're well. What's the situation like in Brussels today? Are more and more members of the European Parliament working from home again, or are they still coming to the Parliament for real and working?
Actually, we only had 2 weeks in person time, and then we had to make the new decisions that we are working now in the hybrid model. And actually, greetings from cold Finland. I'm only traveling to Brussels later today, as so many meetings and things were planned ahead are now online.
Oh, but you're still traveling today in the afternoon, so we really have to be quick, for you to be late. Mia Petra, you are the Vice President of the IDA Committee at the European Parliament, as mentioned, but you are also part of other committees, very important for our event today. Which ones?
No, ITRE committee is the one on innovations and technology, so that is my main duty. Of course, international trade is quite interesting nowadays, as I'm only standing monitor for the e-commerce, and then the data flows are very important for this seminar as well. What kind of rules can we have for the international data business?
It would be very, very interesting to hear your speech, focused more from, the perspective of a European institution. Here you go.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here, as the Big Data Value Association has been one of the key players in charting the path to the data-driven economy. Zettabyte, it is a unit so huge, it defies understanding. It means figure what has 1 followed by 21 zeros. According to the one estimate, it is a number that is bigger than the sand grains on all the beaches and deserts on the planet. It makes your head to spin just to think about these numbers. But even more incredible to think is that according to the European Commission data strategy, the amount of the data in the world will increase from 33 zettabytes to 175 zettabytes in less than 10 years. So 170 times of all the sand grains in the dry land, from Arabian deserts to beaches of Mansikasari to city in Vasa, where I grew up. So of course, estimates on this scale are only good educated guesses at best. But however, it gives some idea of the scale of transformation we are seeing. This is a huge opportunity to grasp. Data is a unique, quite unique entity, and it is very different from the sand. After all, data is a mirror of knowledge, and knowledge is power. Data is the fuel that powers artificial intelligence algorithms that make our lives smarter and more automated. Making use of this fuel is one of the keys to kickstart our societies after pandemic too. The Treaty of the European Union states that the value of the Union are human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, and the rule of law, and the respect of the human rights. Even though they are sometimes criticized to be very general, they are relevant, and also in a digital economy and digital society. We have seen examples of digital transformation that violate these values: authoritarian control, violation of human rights, and the sidelining of the democracy should not be tolerated in our home. It is important that we build genuinely the European transformation that builds upon our own values. And one more principle to add here is the market economy. Monopolies as such are not easily accepted in our market economy model. So that is the background. Then for the data and AI, which I see are intermittently linked. I like to think that a relation between data and AI is that if AI algorithms are the engine, the data is the fuel. Even if we have the finest engine, it's useless if we don't have a necessarily fuel. So on the other hand, just having the fuel tank full does not make the car move anywhere. However, these two parts, data and AI, have their own particular challenges to politics. I would like to share some of my views to these two matters in turn. Data, building up the data economy is not easy. There are tricky questions to be solved and interests to be balanced. So what the policymakers can do? On the one hand, it is important to unleash the data that is scattered across Europe. At this moment, it's difficult to learn from each other if the data remains in the silos in different countries, different companies, and different sectors. Even inside the countries, the data is not used to benefit the economy and society optimally. So this is a big waste of resources. On the other hand, we have to be careful how we unleash the data. We don't want to just open the floodgates and see what happens. We need to create ecosystems of trust with clear rules and values guiding our data policies. We do not want to see only the big players taking the advantage of data and create new kind of silos. For businesses, it must be safe and trustworthy to share data between different parties. We need to create trustworthy and transparent data economy. So trustworthiness and transparency are especially important when we are talking about the data created by the human beings. It's important that the protection we have won, like the GDPR, are not lost in the AI age. We need to keep the humans in the center. It is not trusted, otherwise the systems. Personal control of who gets to use and share my data must stay in the hands of the individuals. For the businesses, we have seen that one reason for data remaining unused in the companies is also trust. Do I lose my business case, business secrets, or special knowledge in my enterprise? And one other reason is the knowledge and lack of knowledge. The path to truly European data economy consists of the two parts. First, I see is the technical. We need interoperability in between the systems and data sets. And EU has started to help to create interoperable data, European data spaces. There will be more in the seminar about it. This makes it possible to leverage our common strengths to unleash the European innovations. EU has also programs to help to build the technical architecture. Quantum for the programs are going on, and I can send now from Finland greetings from Lumi to Vega, another Euro HPCs. Second question for the European data economy is political. We have seen digital world dominated by big business or authoritarian states. This requires that we sit down to decide the rules, what kind of data can be used, so what data, by whom, and on what terms. I trust this can be done in a way that facilitates more innovations and make Europe to flourish. This is also why I'm very happy tonight sit on the trialogues on the European Data Governance Act. It is the first piece of legislation after the European Data Strategy, and since the European Parliament also approved the Data Strategy for Europe, where I was happy to be the rapporteur. From the start, it has been clear to the Parliament that the European data economy must be the one where also the smaller players have a chance to flourish, where European dignity is respected, and when data is used, it has the safeguards that prevents not only the dominant players twisting the market for their benefit, and nobody should then forget the human dignity. We have seen also the negotiations going on the DMA and DSA for the existing platforms, but then I see more that the European Governance Act is looking for the future to help to build trustworthy infrastructure and soft infrastructure. Also, the DGA will open even more the data sets of the governments. We do have almost everything open, but the sensitive data sets needs to have a special ways, special governance, so that they can still be shared, but then the content will treated well. In the Finland, the example is the secondary use of the health data legislation, and now that will be the European idea as well. The good governance helped to open the sensible data sets. In practice also, we have worked to make the idea of the common European data space to the legislation, meaning the interoperable frameworks from an idea to actual legal concept. We have also made it clear that large players cannot use their dominating position to conquer data economy on power and not on skill. Lastly, we have worked to ensure that different data intermediators cannot build walled gardens where companies and citizens' data get locked into one intermediary, but without possibility to change the operator. The DGA draws the general rules and soft infrastructure ideas for the data economy in Europe. It will remain an empty letter of legislation if companies don't get a loan. So also DGA is just first step. The upcoming Data Act will be taking a closer look how we can prevent the data from being siloed in different companies and how the private sector data can be best utilized to benefit public sector, and when the private data is needed to help the public side and vice versa, so the B2B and B2B both ways. These fascinating questions will be the topic of next year as we're still waiting for Commission proposal on Data Act. So let me move from the fuel to the engine, AI. Sometimes it is said that we should just let technology do whatever happens and not regulate and hinder the innovation. I do not agree. I firmly believe that we should sail, not drift to technological future. By first thinking what is it we want the technology to do, we can focus our energies, resources, and passions to objectives where they benefit our society the most. Technology itself is nothing but the tool. It is the job of democracy also to decide the way the society is developed. Europe has been in frontline in mapping the direction for towards the secure, trustworthy, and human-centric AI. As you all know, after three years of intense consultation, Commission released an AI Act last March. This works on the Council and European Parliament. is now starting with a full speed, and I'm happy to work on it in my ITRE committee as one of the legislators. Also, the Parliament ADA committee has now the draft report and will be finished in next spring or next summer. So we have the strategy for the future, how European Union more will see the AI. But then back to the AI Act proposal. Without getting to the details, from the outset of the proposal has the two big things. First is an explicit value stance. The proposal states that what we Europe AI do not want to be. We don't want social scoring. We don't want manipulation. And we want to protect from constant surveillance our citizens. The second part is being responsible about high-risk technologies. There is a long list of areas where reckless use of AI can have a real detrimental impact on the people's lives. When I apply for a job, I don't want a decision to be made by black box algorithm, nobody explaining to me why. I don't want the algorithms that claim to read my emotions from my face, tell me what I'm really like. And whether I get a loan for the house should not depend on my G or the color of my skin. I want to be clear, we are not banning AI for all social purposes. We are only saying that we want to AI be trustworthy and secure. We do audits for the vaccines. Why shouldn't we do it for the AI systems on markets? Of course, the Act is a proposal, not a final version, and it will be something that we will now work on. Like questions like how to define the definition of AI is one tricky question that I have a lot of comments. Other challenge is maybe the standards. So standards on AI on the one hand, and the other products like elevators and toys are not the quite same thing. It is clear that the level of acceptance risk in AI systems cannot be decided the very same way that we decide the level of acceptance on risk on toys. But you have to start somewhere if you want to get somewhere else. So this is, for me, a very good proposal. As we think the AI system as products, we are very familiar with the product safety regulations. So then this in mind would help us all to navigate what the AI Act can do and what it cannot. There are many areas where AI can bring great benefits to our lives. So it can be used to diagnose diseases, develop drugs. Very accurate question. It can be used to optimize industrial system, cut down inefficient waste, use energy more efficiently, and us to move smarter. AI can make a huge difference in fighting climate change. We have huge European level initiatives like Destiny that seeks to create a digital twin to our Earth model to develop models on the climate change. So European way is not just to regulate, but help to build the system and AI to be used in the right way, the best way globally. So it is not a simple thing to build a European data economy, but we want to have a direction before we take off. We have chosen to be active, not passive shapers of the technological development. I've touched upon today many traditional questions to the European policies. To need to protect trust of our citizens, to need to define competitive and innovation-friendly economy, and need to keep the technological development working for our values, not on the other way round. However, these connections to other challenges we face, and climate change is the most pressing issue of our time. I want to thank you, the previous speaker, that it was taking so much up here. I think it is important that digital transformation has a large handprint, but small footprint to our climate and environment. AI and data can do a lot towards more sustainable world. Through creating new monitoring systems, preempting environmental shocks, and developing more climate-friendly products and services. The other side of the coin is the small footprint. According to the UN estimations, 10% of the electricity will be used in this decade to the ICT systems only. Just data centers consumed almost 3% of the EU electricity already in 2018. So if action is not taken, the number will increase in the future, and it is not sustainable. This means that the footprint is getting larger and larger without actions. So there are solutions that need to be taken on board, and this is a plea for the technical developers. So data and AI together are the engine that pushes Europe to the next economic era. If used properly, stupefying amount of data can be powerful current that takes Europe to the new economic renaissance. I have today shared some of the ideas to make this current serve the European values and societies. Much work still remains to be done to make these objectives reality. And I see we on the political side are very much interlinked what the industry will do, develop, and innovate. So, however, as one of the fathers of Europe, Jean Monnet, said, progress happens through partial but concrete advancements. It is with this idea in mind that tonight I will walk to the trilogues of DTA to negotiate on the details and the work on the details of the AI. I firmly believe that after ink is dry in the signatures of the European legislation, we have taken steps towards the truly European digital transformation, benefiting Europeans, our businesses, and well-being.
Thank you, Mia-Petra. So not just regulating, but helping to build the system. That is the focus of the European Parliament if we talk about artificial intelligence. Thank you for your speech as well. Let's stay up north. We just move over the sea, straight to Dublin, to the heart of a beautiful nature park. We feel always very close to the Irish people, you know. We even celebrate St. Patrick's in Ljubljana. Our castle turns even green. There's a bit of an Irishman in every one of us, obviously. So, from the European institutions, straight to the sector of research, and we are greeted by Professor Noel O'Connor. He's the CEO of Insight. Noel, I hope you can hear me well and that you're with us. Can we see you?
I can hear you.
Okay, all good.
I hope you can hear me.
Over to you, Noel.
Thank you very much, Moitza, and I'm delighted to hear that even in Slovenia, St. Patrick's Day is celebrated. Good morning, everybody. My name is Noel O'Connor. I'm CEO of the Insight SFI Research Centre for Data Analytics. Let me start by saying that I hope you are all keeping safe and well during these very, very challenging times. I am, of course, very disappointed that I cannot be there in Slovenia in person, but I am truly honoured and delighted to have the opportunity to present to you today, particularly in the company of so many distinguished speakers. Taking up the point made by Sophie at the very start of this session, I'm going to talk today and this morning in my presentation about extracting insights from data, which after all is the name of my research centre. Giving some practical examples, I'm going to talk to you about how data and AI have the power to help us all live healthier lives. However, I'm also going to point out how there is a key outstanding issue that we collectively need to address before the full potential of this opportunity is realized. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Insight for those of you who don't know the research centre. Insight is Ireland's largest research centre devoted to data science. We are a national centre mobilising over 450 researchers across 8 research performing organisations. We conduct world-class research in many branches of data science, as evidenced by our published output of over 2,700 publications in top-tier conferences and journals. And we have graduated 240 PhDs and spun out 12 companies since 2013. And we are responsible for 12% of all licenses executed to industry from Irish academia. However, in addition to conducting world-class science, we are also set up to act as an engine of innovation for industry, both large and small, by engaging with industry partners on collaborative research programs. In practice, we act as an innovation hub for both multinationals and SMEs. We have had over 160 such collaborations in the last 7 years. Pictured here are just some of the companies with whom we have partnered. More broadly, we have a global network of research collaborations with over 580 collaborations across 40 countries. We are committed to collaborating with EU partners. We have been involved in over 150 projects funded by the European Commission in the last 7 years, and we are embedded in the EU AI landscape in particular, having helped set the European agenda over the last few years by taking leadership roles in important initiatives such as the high-level expert group on AI, and of course, Professor Edward Curry's role in the BDVA and related initiatives. Insight brings together a diverse range of research expertise. This includes traditional analytics expertise from our schools of applied maths and stats, engineering and computing, but also domain-specific expertise aligned with our targeted application domains. We have 4 targeted application domains. Smart enterprise refers to our work with data-rich organizations, and increasingly all organizations are data-rich, helping them to unlock the value of their data through state-of-the-art data engineering and governance techniques. Smart communities is our work in the area of Internet of Things and smart communities, helping to make our urban and rural environments better places to live. In this domain, we partner with local city and regional councils and have been a trailblazer in establishing national Irish testbeds for Internet of Things technologies. These include a smart stadium using Croke Park, Europe's 3rd largest stadium, as a microcosm of the city, and most recently a multi-site smart campus testbed at Dublin City University. Our work in sustainable societies aligns our research to the UN Sustainable Development Goals and grand challenges of our time, such as climate change and its consequences, as has been referenced by the previous speakers. It's important that we, in all application domains, take care to deeply integrate and embed the required domain expertise into our research themes, because it's the domain experts who truly understand the nature of the problems that we need to address as a society. Let me give you just one example. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami took the world by surprise and unfortunately resulted in over 220,000 fatalities. Arguably, as a society, we should have been better prepared for this type of eventuality, and we need to be better prepared in the future. Insight researchers are directly trying to address this issue of future preparedness by better predictions of these types of natural disasters. For example, research published in Nature Communications by one of our investigators, Professor Andrew Parnell, in 2017, showed how we could model the recurrence of these types of events. Andrew worked closely with world-class geologists, seismologists, and experts in sea level change to collectively analyze 7,400 years worth of tsunami deposits from a coastal cave in Indonesia. The team collectively used this data to model the reoccurring frequency and timing of tsunamis so that we can better model their potential occurrence into the future. In this presentation, however, I'd like to focus on our work on an application domain that we term augmented human. Augmented human refers to our work in using data and AI to help humans make better decisions about their health and well-being. This could be in clinical environments, working directly with consultants, doctors, and hospital employees, or in rehabilitation environments with a view to, for example, introducing exercise as a key part of rehabilitation from chronic disease, or for elite athletes to help them squeeze that extra percentage of performance that allows them to excel, or recreational athletes to help them exercise more effectively, or simply the day-to-day personal health and well-being of an average citizen. And we pride ourselves in Insight on addressing the augmented human challenge and opportunity throughout the entire journey of life. I'm going to start at the very early stages of that journey and show you some work that we're doing to address an important national problem by, to put it very simply, getting Ireland's kids moving through the power of data. A series of national physical activity studies in Ireland have shown some very worrying trends around physical activity, particularly in children. Only an estimated 17% of 4 to 11-year-olds and only 10% of 11 to 18-year-olds meet the daily recommended level of 60 minutes physical activity per day. We believe that a key contributor to this is declining levels of physical literacy in the youngest cohort, i.e. children aged between 4 and 11 years. Physical literacy refers to the fundamental movement skills, such as running, jumping, skipping, throwing, catching a ball, that for a long, long time we took as innate skills in children. In other words, skills that we naturally had, that we were born with. However, research has shown that we are not born with these skills, but that they need to be learned and they need to be mastered. And they need to be learned and mastered at an early age, typically by age 12. And if they are not mastered by age 12, there's a significant chance that they will never be mastered. And the challenge with this, of course, is that this undermines confidence and enthusiasm in children for participating in physical activities. In other words, if you're not good at a particular activity, you recognize that, your peers will recognize that, you'll be less inclined to partake in that physical activity, whatever it might be. And very quickly, you find yourself in a negative downward spiral of increased sedentary activity, which has potentially very serious health consequences in later life. To try to address this specific aspect of the national problem, we felt it was important, like any good data science project, to first measure the extent of the problem nationally, and on the basis of this data evidence, come up with a potential solution. The project, called Moving Well, Being Well, carried out the largest study of its kind ever conducted. We assessed over 2,000 children across 12 different regional areas in Ireland, across 44 schools and 100 classes, from junior infants to 6th class, in other words, from 4 years old to 12 years old. And for each child, we performed a comprehensive battery of physical literacy assessment tests, gold standard and recognized in the literature as the way of measuring fundamental movement skills and physical literacy. The data was collected, of course, in a fully GDPR and ethically approved manner, using specifically developed data capture technology for this project. Unfortunately, the findings of this study were quite stark. For example, taking the most basic physical skill, like running or catching, we found that only 75% of kids could master this skill. Now, 75% might not seem like a very low number, but if you stop and think about that for a moment, that means that 1 in 4 of our children cannot run properly or cannot catch a ball properly. And of course, the proficiency gets worse for the more complex skills, as you can see in this graph. So this is not a very good finding in terms of the national status of physical activity in children. However, the power of data and the power of evidence-based assessments means that we can use that evidence to develop targeted interventions. And that's exactly what we did. The team used the data we had collected to develop a new, bespoke, targeted physical education class that teachers could deliver during normal physical education time in classes as a replacement for their normal, usual activities. That specifically targets the identified deficiencies. And we showed in a controlled trial that our replacement classes in schools could improve physical literacy in children by 24% compared to a control group, and that this improvement is retained over time. These findings were extremely encouraging and have been widely published in the relevant literature in sports science and health and human performance. Our plan now is to roll these interventions out as part of the formal education curriculum in a national programme, reaching hopefully every school in Ireland. As a second example, let me show you the work of one of our spin-out companies and the work that it's doing at the other end of life's journey. Digitalgatelabs is an insight spin-out that has developed a novel artificial intelligence and augmented reality system that puts a digital gate lab into everyone's pocket. Meet Don. Don is an elderly gentleman who has had a fall at home. He is admitted to the emergency department and is categorized as frail. Unfortunately, research tells us that Don will have more hospital admissions, longer stays, and higher use of healthcare resources compared to the pre-frail and robust population. And of course, Don is not alone. Globally, 20% of the population is over 65 years old and is consuming 40% of the total healthcare budget. Typically, over 65s will have multiple conditions that can grow into multiple chronic diseases. A key measurement to try to preempt this is frailty. Frailty is how clinicians and healthcare professionals classify the patient risk of developing chronic illnesses. And large savings could potentially be made if we could identify frailty as soon as possible in a person's life journey, because many of these conditions are actually treatable or reversible if they are caught in time. Digitalgatelabs is developing what we call a frailty thermometer using state-of-the-art artificial intelligence. The way you walk, referred to as your gait, is a very important feature used in many healthcare pathways. Clinicians often refer to it as a vital sign, and they like to use it due to its diagnostics and predictive ability. We would like to make gait testing as ubiquitous as taking your temperature. The problem with this vision, however, is that gait analysis is actually very difficult to operate in clinical settings. You either use a technology solution, which is very high cost, complex to set up and operate, or observational or manual techniques that are subjective and that don't support longitudinal analysis and are potentially error prone. This image here is an example of the current gold standard movement measurement technology called Vicon optical motion capture that consists of anything of up to 15 very expensive infrared cameras and requires the subject to wear optically reflective markers so their motion can be measured very accurately. Our solution is to make the gait test ubiquitous. To do this by using state-of-the-art AI and AR technology that makes it very easy for anyone to run gait analysis in any scenario. It's a very straightforward process. You download a bespoke app, you use the AR features to configure and video record a gait assessment test. The video is automatically passed to a gatekeeper AI server for processing. We use state-of-the-art computer vision AI to compute gait parameters. It produces video, chart, tabular reports, and these reports can be compared with previous tests longitudinally over time and accessed securely through any device. It provides the ease of the observational method with the objectivity and accuracy of the technology solutions. What we're effectively trying to do is transform this type of gait analysis context to this type of gait analysis context. Now, this is not Don, the patient I mentioned earlier. This is actually Aidan Boren, the CEO and founder of Gatekeeper Technologies. And what you're seeing here is the system in action. In other words, what the AI system sees. So the markings in this scene, the arrows and the lines, they're artificial. They're created in the scene. And then you can see to configure the scene and calibrate the scene. And then what you're seeing is the computer vision AI extracting clinically validated gait biomarkers from Aidan as he walks. So this technology potentially has the ability to democratize gait analysis for whoever needs it, whenever they need it, and wherever they need it. However, these two examples that I've given you here, Digitalgatelabs and Moving Well, Being Well, are still only national projects, although they address international and global problems, but they have limited reach. But our ambition is to scale these up. But what if we want to address, for example, physical literacy for every single child in Europe? Or what if we wanted to provide gait analysis to every clinician or care home in Europe? What's needed? How would we accomplish that? Quite simply, through the power of data platforms. We know that data is the new oil and that data will fuel AI-based decision-making. And as a society, we're very good at generating data and analyzing it. A good example of that is the Moving Well, Being Well project. We're also very good at using data and its analysis to make decisions and drive digital transformations. Digitalgatelabs is a good example of that. However, the key missing piece of the puzzle and where we still struggle is the logistics of moving the data between generation and decision-making. And we need data platforms to provide this logistical structure. Delivering large-scale data sharing infrastructure is one of the key challenges for us to deliver on a vision of a truly data-driven society and all the benefits that can potentially offer, not just in healthcare, but in the other areas you've heard from other speakers this morning as well. And it's important to understand that this is not just a technical challenge, but it is a socio-technical challenge which requires consideration of skills, business models, organization design, regulation, and trust. And this is why the work of the BDVA community is so important, because it is a community where we can all collectively come together to tackle these problems. And we in Insight are committed to working with the BDVA on trying to deliver on this vision. We want to make Insight a key contributor to delivering on data spaces. And we do this by ensuring that our research addresses important topics such as semantic interoperability, linked data, distributed ledgers, open data, and so on, alongside technologies like multimedia analysis, machine learning, explainable AI, and reasoning. And all, of course, with a key focus on data governance, privacy, ethics, and security. And as I say, let me reiterate, we are committed to continuing to work with the BDVA and all our European partners on achieving this shared vision. However, let me end this presentation with this call to arms. We need to deliver on this vision of European data spaces, and we need to deliver on this vision as soon as possible, because we should be in no doubt that AI is here and AI is ready. The key question for us is whether we are ready. With that, thank you for your attention. Thank you to the people in my organization who actually do all the real work, such as the researchers in Moving Well, Being Well, Stephen Behan, Sarah Jane Belton, Johan Issertel and Cathal Gurin, and the researchers in Digitalgatelabs, Aidan Bourne and Sean Kennelly and Tala University Hospital. And a big thank you to Professor Ed Curry, who many of you know, and who's really our key man in Europe in terms of promoting our work and promoting the work of the Big Data Value Association. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you, Noel. And we really hope we will be close to ready, at least after the end of this year's forum. Well, this is actually time to announce a short break, and we will continue our discussion at 11 a.m. with a panel moderated by Mr. Thomas Hahn, and it will be opened by Mr. Thomas Skordas, the Deputy Director General of the DG Connect at the European Commission. And that will count with the presence of Tiro Ojampera, Aleš Kantaruti, Marina Bil, Stephanie Lindstedt, Nina Dokuzo. So for everybody following us online through the try really the B2 match as well. It's a wonderful platform that encourages you to take advantage of all networking opportunities. And the platform really offers a lot of things so you can connect and get to know each other, connect with other participants, organize meetings. So it's really something very useful, especially if you follow us online. And don't forget to check the sponsors page, as you will have the opportunity to visit the booths during lunch break. But lunch break is still far away. First, enjoy our first coffee break, and I see you at 11 a.m.